know, I lost a lot of respect, more so than I already have, for a lot of people. And it happens it happens in funny ways, unexpected ways, because when you get that rare occurrence, that rare event that's going to shock and wake up people. Like, it's one thing to be ignorant, but then when you're put in a situation to be cleansed of your ignorance and to have to acknowledge it and step forward. See, what I have a problem with is when that time comes and you resist it. Like, I never expected to see such resistance to growth and education as I've seen with these last two events. The keynote and question of this entire discussion is, what is boxing? What has it become in the eyes of people? What really is it? We saw back-to-back events. We saw Mayweather versus McGregor, and now tonight, this morning, we saw Canelo versus Golovkin. What is boxing? Before the Mayweather-McGregor fight, we were hearing all this nonsense about, oh, he doesn't belong there, he can't fight, he never boxed a professional match before, so there's no way that he can do anything. Totally disregarding the mental aspect of combat, which is the heart of boxing. Boxing, like any true art, is mental, and as they say, spiritual. Is very, very little of it is physical. When somebody has an understanding of the science, of the mentality of combat, that is the most important thing. It's not about pedigree. How many layman fighters, how many blockhead, hood rat fighters from the hood that just come to the gym and box or attach themselves to Mayweather's name and they remain journeyman boxers? I'm not even going to throw names around, but go to the Mayweather boxing gym and you'll see who I'm talking about. The many of them would not have even lasted 7 rounds with Floyd in the championship fight. But they've been boxing from the beginning. It's not about how long you do something, it's about how much you understand it. Now, I didn't expect the guy to win, but I knew he would educate. I said, this is an opportunity to uplift the ignorance and bring people to a state of understanding. What happens? All you hear is denial and deflection after the fight occurs. Totally missing the opportunity. And I said, okay, fine. Want to nitpick at it, whatever. But then we come back to what is boxing. I'm extremely disappointed, and I'll say it outright. I am the biggest Teddy Atlas fan. I am extremely disappointed in Teddy Atlas and a few others. See, what they're doing now is they're hiding behind outrage at a scorecard, at a judge. No, if it were just that, just like Bernard Hopkins and a couple of other people stated, if it were just that, then I'll give it to Michael Montero. It shouldn't be that serious if it were just that. The outrage is people don't understand boxing. And the whole time I'm watching the fight, I'm listening to the commentary. They step in the ring. Triple G is Triple G. He is himself. And one thing that disgusts me is to see his style flourishing in boxing today. I respect Triple G, but he's very limited. And I don't like to see a one-dimensional approach to boxing rewarded and praised. But why is it? It's the easiest to process for the mainstream fans. Let's move on. Triple G. When he fought Danny Jacobs, he did the same thing he always does. He walks forward, he pressures, and he hopes his opponent eventually wilts. No, I don't want to say hope. He knows his opponent will eventually wilt, and then he'll either get a decision or more than likely a brutal stoppage. That's his whole game plan. When he stood in front of Jacobs and he saw a guy that could take his shot and a guy that was going to be there all night, he panicked. He saw Canelo, he saw a guy that he sparred before, and he saw a guy that he should be able to stop. He has size on him, he has reach on him. And it didn't happen. He panics. He has one way of fighting, and I've never seen it more rewarding than I do today. You could go on a Wednesday night boxing venue in the city, Friday night fights, in various ballroom venues around the country, and you can find Mexican and Russian guys, no names, that a lot of people, the mainstream fans don't even know who they are. And they are cinder block jawed, iron slugging dudes that walk forward, can take punishment, and dish out 10 times the punishment because they're built tough. They're a dime, I'm not gonna say a dime a dozen, but you'll find them. That's nothing spectacular. It's good and nice, but it's not spectacular. Since when has that been boxing? And you see, it goes to show you the turncoats that people are. Triple G fights like that, right? He's lauded. Danny Jacobs puts together a performance he does, and he's trash. Oh, please. Well, Triple G came forward, he was the aggressor. You can't be, that's nonsense. He outboxed the crap out of him. You outbox somebody by walking into their punches and walking them down? Same thing with Kovalev. Kovalev scores the knockdown, just like the Jacobs Triple G fight. Kovalev knocks Ward down early in the fight, then gets boxed silly. Well, I'm not gonna say boxed silly, outboxed for the majority of the fight. Everyone leans on the pressure and the walking forward. That's nice. That's not all boxing is. You all turn around and hypocritically, you acknowledge Mayweather as the greatest boxer of all time. He was a master at hitting, not getting hit, controlling the ring. But then when you see it applied by somebody else, all of a sudden you don't recognize it. It's like the analogy I gave some time ago before, where I said, people are easy to fool. Jay-Z, what is Jay-Z? He's a glorified backpack rapper. That's not an insult to him. That's a compliment. Backpack rappers are rappers that spit with depth. They're not spitting a rhyme that could have been put together by a weeded up dreadhead on his lunch break. They're rhymes that take thought and that require thought and that provoke thought. That's what Jay-Z is. But he did such a good job of marketing his name and putting himself on such a high pedestal, people eat him up. They hate backpack rappers and they don't even realize that they love one. They're easy to fool. It's easy to fool people. Same analogy. Mayweather became the face of boxing. So by default, he represents the true art of the sport. But people they're forced to love him. They love him. And they fall in and out of love with the sweet science. What is boxing?
Now for a break.
matching up styles. If everybody fought everybody the same way, every boxing match would be predictable. Danny Jacobs came in. It was slick, move, powerful when it needed to be. But then we all say after the fight, well, he has stats on Triple G. He came down in weight. He had a little height. He had a little reach on him. Excuses. Now he faces Canelo. Canelo looked absolutely marvelous. And there was nothing more insulting to not only to myself but to the sport of boxing than to watch that display and listen to the ignorant commentary. And in the comments after the fight, talking about how well Triple G boxed. That's really how low humanity has sunk mentally? You get a guy, for the third time now, he gets in the ring and he walks forward like a blockhead, not knowing what the freak to do except absorb shots and walk forward until he can break his opponent. And humanity has sunk that low mentally. We're rewarding that and we're calling that masterful boxing? I was so disgusted, I wanted to turn the audio off. And the thing about it is, it was a Sky Sports feed. This wasn't even the American feed. I'm listening to some British guys that usually call it like it is, talk about how Triple G is absolutely masterclassing Canelo. And I'm watching Canelo slipping, moving, cutting, putting together beautiful combinations. And all of this is going missed. Nobody's seeing any of this. Sad to say, even Teddy Atlas. It really makes you wonder where people are at mentally. Not physically, mentally. Where are people really at this point in time? What is boxing? After the fight, just like he did for the last few fights, Triple G is at a loss for words. They ask him what went on. Oh, I just want Mexican style fight. I fight Mexican style. I want someone to stand it. And I'm like, this is normally the kind of blockhead and idiocy that he would stand alone or there'd just be a few people. But it's come to the point where everybody is co-signing that. Are we forgetting what boxing is? Have we completely forgotten? Boxing is about styles. Boxing is about matching your strengths against your opponent's strengths. What would boxing be if, in order for Canelo to be convincing with the fight, even though he's undersized and underpowered, he just steps in the ring and stands toe-to-toe with Triple G and fights and blasts away until his chin gets taken out and he gets carried on the stretcher? He should have did that, right? What does Floyd Mayweather do? Floyd Mayweather has never been the strongest or the fastest in all of his matchups. What does he do? What is his strength? Utilizing the skills of boxing and finding a way to neutralize his opponent, move, utilize the ring, change angles, and frustrate his opponent until he takes their weapons away. Bernard Hopkins did the same thing in his career. Sugar Ray Robinson did the same thing in his career. All the great boxers, Sugar Ray Leonard did that in his career. Why is it all of a sudden we have completely forgotten what boxing is? And everyone's actually co-signing. Oh, Canelo ran. What ran? Now, I expect Triple G's team to say that. I expect them to say that. They wanted to win the fight. They wanted to knock Canelo out. They got exposed for the third freaking time. I expect them to say some nonsense like that. But for the whole fan base to be saying some stupid nonsense like that, Canelo ran, he ran. Somebody puts together a masterful performance like that, and you sit there and say that they got outboxed and they ran? We've reached this point in humanity where a guy can walk forward for 12 rounds. But the second fight he does this. He walks forward for 12 rounds, eats punches. Look at Triple G. It should be clear to you now. There's not a boxer outside of light heavyweight that has enough power to actually rattle and bother Triple G. Whether you want to say that he's doing it the fair way or the unfair way, I'm not going to be the judge on that. All I say is that he's unnaturally durable. It doesn't matter if you take a sledgehammer to his chin. Not only is he not going down, he's not even going to slow down. It doesn't even faze him. It would be lunacy to fight fire for fire with that guy. Canelo came about as close as you can. Toe to toe. Canelo has all the power he needs. Triple G cannot be hurt. He cannot be moved. That's not the way to beat him. So why would you ask Canelo to try? Because you want him to lose? He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did a better job than what Danny Jacobs did. Box responsibly. Now, they told about Canelo was in survival mode. He was just surviving, attacking his spots. No, he wasn't. Danny Jacobs was more spotty with his performance. Canelo traditionally gets tired in between the 7th and 9th round. Those are the rounds that Triple G actually looked impressive in this fight. But Canelo still wasn't as tired as he usually is. Those are the only rounds in the fight where Triple G actually made Canelo look on the back foot and made him look a little bad. And started landing the jab at will and started landing some punches. You could count on a couple hands how many significant shots Triple G landed in that fight. I mean, is that really where we're at now? All the guy has to do is have an iron jaw and walk forward, and he's boxing massively now? That's where we're at? I've never been more disgusted with humanity. And so the whole crowd was booing this guy. The guy who Mexico was behind, he had not a single fan behind him after that fight, or during it. Why? Because the minute a guy utilizes the ring, he's running. He's a coward. Every fight cannot just be standing toe-to-toe. Every fighter does not have the same skill sets. There's nobody. If we all went by those rules, the Triple G would be the #1 boxer in the world, and no one would ever beat him. Which, of course, a lot of people want that. That's not boxing. There's no boxer in the rankings right now that has the chin and the power that Triple G has. Once again, whether he has that legitimately or not is a different debate. I honestly have felt for a while that he's not doing things the right way. Whether he's on steroids or whatever it is, whether he drains himself to come down to whatever it is that he's doing, I've never felt that he was been totally legit. But that's a debate for a different day. Bottom line is, you can't hurt the guy. Nobody in middleweight, super middleweight, is hurting the guy. I don't even know if Ward would hurt him, to be honest. Well, at this stage, maybe, because Ward's kind of filled out into light heavyweight. But there's not a lot of fighters that'll hurt this guy. Canelo went to the body. Now, of course, he doesn't like body shots, but still, nothing's moving or hurting this guy. Nothing even stops him in his tracks. He stalks for the whole fight. Now, I always refer back to a fight that I saw a long time ago. A long time ago, I saw a fighter between two females. One of them was a black boxer with dreads. The other one was a butch-looking white chick with short-cut hair. And the white chick, the whole fight, boxed masterfully, peppered the black chick with shots. Literally. This is what Triple G does. The black chick literally didn't throw a punch in the fight. And do you know she won a dominating, overwhelming decision just because she had pressure and she walked forward and was imposing? I'm like, we've got to learn how to read punches and read movement. If we're that stupid, then we need to abolish boxing. That's not what it was founded on. Boxing is the art of slickness, solduggery, hitting, not getting hit. I mean, do you guys want to just argue that Mayweather never won a fight outside of lightweight? Is that what it is? And I got people hitting my phone up now, fighting and arguing for Triple G. And I'm tired of it. I'm like, the fighting for Triple G should have stopped after the Kell Brook fight. He looked bad. And everyone's talking about it's a black eye on boxing to see a decision like this go down. you know, to even insinuate that Canelo won that fight, that's an insult to boxing. No, it's an insult to boxing, Teddy Atlas, for people like Triple G to be continuously rewarded as winning boxers. That's not winning boxing. To walk into the ring with an iron jaw and sledgehammers and to sit there bewildered when you can't get a guy out of there and just walk through punches and just stalk him the whole night. You don't realize. Let's take a step back for a second and let's step into Triple G's shoes. You're a boxer. Your opponent, no matter who he is, you know they can't hurt you. You have sledgehammers for fish. You know you can hurt your opponent if you hit them. Just think about it. Where's the challenge factor? Where's the challenge? If I walk into a ring and I know that, you know what? All I gotta do is just walk forward. Think about it. Where's the challenge? What can stop Triple G from walking forward? Nothing. So what burden are you putting on him as the champion? If you're just telling him you don't have to outbox your opponent, just walk through punches, you run out of answers, you get frustrated, just keep walking forward and you'll win dominating. That's what we're telling him? Why are we making it easy for Triple G? That's why I opposed to Teddy Atlas. See, they're not thinking about that. I pose that to Teddy Atlas and all the other people that feel that Triple G dominated and outboxed and destroyed Canelo. I put that on your table. What do you say to that? He dominatingly crushed Canelo, right? Well, okay, what burden are we putting on Triple G then? What is boxing? Is it a tough man contest? Or is it an art?